All right, so let's get to it. So, Puerto Rican, born in New York.
Born in New York, Lower East Side, Manhattan.
Lower East Side, Manhattan. Coming to LA, or Los Angeles. Like when you did, I don't know what age you were when you got here. But I want to ask, like being Puerto Rican at that time, in the time that you were here, was it like, because when I was coming up in the 80s, like the kids that I was around, they really didn't know what Puerto Rican was. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like it wasn't like
out west.
Out west. It wasn't like a thing that everybody was like, oh yeah, Puerto Rican. It was like I had to explain what Puerto Rican was. What was that experience like for you as a kid being out here in LA as a Puerto Rican? You know, but you was always around brothers. You know what I mean? Like,
well, when first coming out here, I mean, we went to San Francisco first. I was 8 or 9 years old. It was 8 or 9 years old, and we went there for a year or 9 months to a year, and then my grandfather started a church and left it to somebody, and then we came to LA to do the same thing. When we came to LA, we went to LA. We went to Vermont and after 91 or after whatever it was, we went to LA. So that's where we were. And see, I had always been around other Caribbean or other Latinos that were Caribbean based, whether they were Dominican, Puerto Rican, you know,
like African black based,
Cubans and stuff like that, you know, within the church.
Oh, okay.
Because we were in the church a lot, you know. So we were always around. Even here, we were always around other Puerto Ricans, you know, other Latinos, Caribbean, you know, descendants, you know, Dominicans and stuff like that. And so. And then Guatemalan, Nicaraguan, and stuff like that, you know. So, but once you go to school and out and about, it was different because I didn't know who I fit in with. You know, so I gravitated. You know, it wasn't like I gravitated. You know, I never gravitated towards the Latinos that were from here. Yeah. You know, it was. So I went to the next most comfortable thing, which was the African Americans. You know? And that was more. It was a comfort level there because in our culture we have African descendant, Afro Puerto Rican or Afro Panamanian or Afro Nicaraguan, whatever, there's always, or Dominicans, or Cubans, so it was always.
That was your normalcy.
That was normalcy, yeah. So that's coming out to LA. That's how it worked, to where I just gravitated to hanging with that group, and so So yeah, and then I was always around other Latinos within the church.
Okay.
Yeah, So
okay. Yeah. So now coming up, okay, now you're getting, what would you like? Ingratiated into the culture of Los Angeles, right? Like into the culture of Los Angeles, going to church, now going to school, and you guys were it. I don't want to say it was like the normal church, because you were in church all the time.
We're Pentecostals. Pentecostals. So they're, people have the Holy Rollers, they call them that. I mean, that's the side name that they have for them. But yeah, we was in church twice on Sunday, Tuesday night, Thursday night, and Saturday night, and twice on Sunday.
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday
night.
And then twice on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday school, and then Sunday.
So 5 days, 5 times a week, and it was like what, 2 hours?
Yeah. Oh no, it was a service.
Yeah.
And but it was normal to me.
Yeah.
See, I was from 3 years old on. It was that's what I knew.
Okay.
So it was normal to me. Till I became about 13, 14 years old. Then I was just like, I'm cool on this, as far as all this time, but, because they would have like Tuesday night would be for the women service, Thursday nights would be the men's service, and then Saturday would be together, and then Sunday school and Sunday night service would be together, so yeah. And Pentecostals, they were pretty strict. I mean, women couldn't cut their hair. They had to wear dresses below their knees, they sat on one side of the church and the male sat on the other side of the church, stuff like that, they couldn't wear really jewelry and stuff like that, so it was pretty conservative. So, that was.
So how did you break out of that conservative? Because you broke out of it.
Yeah. Well, once I got to like I said, 13, 14 years old, I started, being in middle school, junior high school, they called it back then. And then I hanging around, going to school with, and making friends and making friends at that level, becoming a teenager.
Yeah.
And I was definitely around different groups at that time, so
What groups?
well, I mean, I hung. I mean, the Mexican. I was in Wilmington at the time, so we had our Mexicans, and we had our white dudes, and then we had the brothers, So I literally hung with all of them, every single one. It was depending what day or who was around, whatever. It was I was deep into like rock and roll at that time.
What?
Man, I was Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, 10 Years After. I mean, Iron Butterfly. I mean, all those, it was
So was that a part of like a lifestyle? Like, was the rock and roll, was that like a lifestyle thing? Like just a rebel, like against the...
It was, yeah, in a sense, because I actually went to concerts,
because rock and roll was kind of like, I don't know how it is today. I might be talking ignorant or not, but to me, it always seems like it was like against the system. Yeah. It was always like rock and roll was always like bucking against the system, like the police, the government, the this, whatever it is, are the church.
It was more like, it was definitely a backlash to what I came up at, so, and my grandparents were my grandparents, so, I mean, that's funny. They raised me and they were older, so by that time, I had a little bit, quite a bit of freedom. Yeah. And I could basically say or do as I pleased. I kept it respectful within the house, but once I was out, it was, I was exposed to a lot of different things, so I kind of got away from the church a little bit, but I still showed up. I still respected them, and I went to the service, and I acted appropriately and stuff in church,
But that's a common theme for you, is showing up, always showing up, no matter what is going on. You have always showed up. So it started. So okay, because that's going to lead into a later conversation we're going to have. But so it even started then, like where I'm. Okay, I know what my base is. I know what my foundation is, but I'm gonna bounce over here, live my life, do what I'm gonna do, but I'm still gonna come back and line the fuck back up. You know what I mean? And be respectful and do what I'm supposed to do. Right. Like it's almost like a duality, right? Like I'm over here doing this, but I can still be over here and be
definitely
be this guy. But the thing is, 13 and 14-year-old back then, to me, is the equivalent of a 22-year-old today.
We had so much. Well, the people. I mean, all the kids. We had a lot of a lot of freedom. We had a long leash. I mean, it really was back then. We're talking the early 70s. 70, 71, 72, 72 to 75. 73 to 75. I was in high school. 70, 71, 72 is middle school and stuff. And even before that,
damn, you got to grow up in a cool time.
And it was right after the whole civil rights thing and the Vietnam War. And actually, the Vietnam War was still going on at that time, which it didn't until 1975. And I still went into the service after
seeing that.
Yeah, but it was a lot of freedom to do the things that you wanted to do. Well, there weren't no guardrails,
and you weren't plopped in front of a TV.
No,
you weren't on a video game. No. It was like, if you want to experience life, you got to go out to the railroads. You got to go out to the tracks and go out here and experience
swamp or whatever. The Harbor City. The swamp out in Harbor City. You could mess around on the railroad tracks. In Wilmington, you got railroad tracks everywhere.
Was it Ghost Town?
Ghost Town was right across the street from the church that Puerta del Cielo was the name of the church. The Door of Heaven. Was literally across the street on the other side of PCH for Ghost Town. I used to be in Ghost Town all the time. That was hang out, yeah.
So, we don't have to reveal too much, but when did you? Then you went to Banning.
Yeah, I went to Banning.
You went to Banning High School
right after the earthquake.
Right after the earthquake.
1971 there was a huge earthquake. And,
here or
okay, in Southern California, and Banning was an old school, brick buildings and beautiful,
Yeah.
actually. And then, but the main building cracked in half, and it was inhabitable, so they had to shut it down. And then they knocked everything down and they replaced it with bungalows.
Okay.
It was known as Bungalow High School.
Okay.
Because everything was bungalows everywhere. So I literally went to high school in bungalows the whole time I was there. The year I graduated was the year they opened up the new school.
What?
Yeah.